Hi, I'm Pat and today I'm going to teach you how to play basic minor chords in open D tuning. I've divided this into three main types of minor chord shapes and we're going to practice each one of our backing tracks. Also, there's lots of material included with this lesson, several PDF files with chord shapes and tabs, as well as 15 backing tracks. So make sure to get it all ready beforehand. And now let's get started. Okay, so the first easy way to play minor chords is to not play them. And it might sound funny, but what that actually means is you don't always need to play a proper minor chord if someone else, like the bass player for example, is playing the minor thirds. And in that case, you can use what is called a power chord. And a power chord is a chord with root and fifth and no third. So all you need to know is your major chords and then omit this third string here, which is the major third of the chord. As a reminder, you got, when you strum the open strings, root, fifth, root, major third, fifth, root, right? So this is a D major chord. And by omitting this third string, this major third, you get a D power chord. Only root and fifth, right? Now, this would be more a general shape for a power chord because in practice, you will most likely use a partial chord. And this is written down in the first page of your basic minor chords PDF file. You could play this, the three lower strings, or maybe this, strings 6, 2 and 1, or maybe this, strings 4, 2 and 1. And of course, there are many other possibilities, but these are some common shapes you'd probably end up using a lot. So using one of these shapes, you can easily get your power chords all over the neck, right? For example, this is A major chord, right here. And by omitting this third string, you get an A power chord, right? Another example, F. If you omit this third string, you get F power chord, B power chord, G sharp power chord, E power chord, etc. Right? So all these chords are written down on page 2. And just as a side note, all these basic minor chords I'm going to show you today are chords you would rather use in a band situation, right? I would show you in the next lesson different options to play minor chords in a solo situation. So what we're going to do now is practice those over the backing tracks in 4 different keys: D minor, F minor, A flat minor, and B minor. And each key is separated from the next one by 3 half steps. So basically, after B minor, it circles back to D minor. But first of all, I'm going to show you how the whole thing is going to sound like. And then we'll practice each chord progression in its respective key before putting everything together. Let's do that now. Okay, so let's start off with the first chord progression, which is in the key of D minor. So let's open your PDF file called Basic Minor Chords Practice, Power Chords, 4 Keys. And we're going to look at the first 8 bars for now. So starting measure 1, I play this.
So measure 1 to 4, that's a series of power chords, and I grab strings 4, 2, and 1, and then strings 2 and 1. That's this. 1, 2, 3, 4. First chord is D minor, measure 1. That's a triplet fill here. Triplet fill means when you count triplets, you get 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and by skipping the end, it becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So here you count 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, that's what triplet fill means. So I play the same rhythm for all the chords. 1, 2, 3, 4, D minor. Then I slide into a G minor chord. When I say G minor, that's actually a G power chord, but that's a substitute for G minor. Same rhythm, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then back to D minor, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then A minor, the 7th fret. Right? And then the last 4 bars of this exercise. So measure 5, I play again this, then B flat. That's at the 8th fret, strings 6, 4, and 3. Same rhythm, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I slide into a C chord, slide from 8 to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the last measure, measure 8. I grab this time strings 6, 3, and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the last 4 bars. Okay, so let's play the whole thing slowly. So let's play this over the D minor backing track at 100 beats per minute. I've included backing tracks at different tempos, but I recommend you to start with the slowest ones, and later on you can have a try with the faster ones, okay? So let's do that and try to play along with me if you can. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing but in the key of F minor, so that you'll get to practice more power chords. That's the same rhythm but different chords, and basically we play 3 frets up from D minor, and we get this. So that's the first 4 bars, measure 9 to 12. Measure 9, I slide into this F power chord. So again, I grab strings 4, 2, and 1, and then strings 2 and 1. Same rhythm, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, then I slide into this B flat power chord at the 8th fret. Then back to F power chord. And then C power chord. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The next 4 bars. So this is measure 13 to 16. Measure 13 back to this F power chord, and then I play this at the 11th fret. That's a D flat chord, and it's a bit tricky here because you got a quick jump from here to here, right? So make sure that you're in tune. So you pull your bar back to the 3rd string, you grab strings 6, 4, and 3. Same rhythm, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you slide into this E flat chord, slide from 11 to 13, and then the last bar, you grab this time string 6, 3, and 2. Okay, so that's this. So let's play the whole thing slowly and try to play along with me if you can. Okay, so let's play this over the backing track in F minor at 100 beats per minute, and try to play along with me if you can. Okay, now we're playing in the key of A flat minor, so 3 frets up from F minor, and we got those chords. So the first 4 bars, this is measure 17 to 20. So I slide into this A flat minor chord, A flat power chord actually. 6 frets, again same rhythm and same pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then this. That's a slide into a D flat power chord. Then back to A flat power chord. And then I go here for this E flat power chord. First fret, strings 4, 2, and 1 again. Same rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then the next 4 bars. So a slide into A flat power chord. And then for the last 3 bars, there's something different here. For this E chord, I grab strings 3, 2, and 1, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the same rhythm, but this time I grab strings 3, 2, and 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then strings 2 and 1. And then I slide into this F sharp chord here, or G flat. And then again I pinch strings 2 and 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then for the last bar, same thing. Okay, so let's review. Play this because I want to hear the major third of those two chords, E and F sharp, right? So that's why this time I grab strings 3, 2 and 1. So let's review the whole thing. So let's play this again over the backing track, this time over the one in A flat minor at 100 beats per minute, and try to play along with me if you can. Okay, last one in the key of B minor, and this is measure 25 to 32 of your tab. And let's check out the first 4 bars, goes like this. So I slide into this B power chord here, 9th fret, same rhythm as before, then E power chord, then back to B minor, B power chord, and then F sharp power chord. Okay, so that's first 4 bars. And then we get this. Same thing as what we did with the A flat minor example, but of course different chords. So we back into this B power chord here, and then for this G chord at the 5th fret, I grab strings 3, 2 and 1, right? So that's like the A flat minor chord progression that we just played a few minutes ago, and then you grab strings 2 and 1. And then you slide into this A chord. Alright, slide from 5 to 7. And then the last bar, you grab again strings 3, 2 and 1, and then strings 2 and 1. So that's this, the last 4 bars. Okay, so let's review. Okay, so let's play this over the backing track in B minor at 100 beats per minute, and try to play along with me if you can. Okay, so we've basically practiced all of the 12 power chords available. So now, in order to really memorize those chords, we're going to put the 4 chord progressions together and play them in a row over the backing track called Basic Minor Chords Practice, 4 keys combined, 100 beats per minute. And try to play along with me if you can. Okay, now I'm going to show you a way to play a proper minor chord, including the minor third. If we get back to the open D interval layout, you've got root, fifth, root, major third, fifth, root, right? But what I want you to notice now is that between the third and second strings, F sharp and A, you've got a minor third interval. So this pinch here on strings 3 and 2 actually make a minor chord. Root and minor third, F sharp minor. Okay. Second thing I want you to notice is that you've also got an open A string here, fifth string, 1 octave lower than this one here. So by playing this, strings 5, 3 and 2, you get this general minor chord shape which is written down on page 3 of your PDF file with minor third on top, roots, and minor third 1 octave higher than this one. Right? And in practice, you will most likely use a 2-note pinch, either this or this. Now, the first time you hear those voicings, you'll probably find they don't sound very minor, and this is because your ear needs to hear a lower bass note. So once again, those shapes will often make sense in a band situation, but if you want to play them solo, you'll either need to use a lower open string for the roots, like for example, this is D minor here, and with the root, the open D string at the root, now you can hear the minor sound, right? Or if you play a 2-note pinch like this, then you need to play the full minor chord like this with the open A string to hear the minor sound, right? But we'll check that out in detail in the second part of this series, which is all about open minor chords. For now, just remember that you have to be careful with how you use those shapes, because depending on what the band plays, it might sound good or not. So you just get to know those shapes and then experiment with those depending on the situation, okay? Now, to memorize those chords, what you must do first is to learn the note names on the third string, right? Because this is where the root note is, and each note of this string is going to give its name to the corresponding minor chord. So this is written down on page 4 of your PDF file, and let's just start with the natural notes, that is notes without a sharp or flat. So we've got, at the first fret, G, so this is G minor, then third fret, A, so A minor, fifth fret, B, so B minor, sixth fret, C, so C minor, each time I play a 2-note pinch, either this or this, but you could also play this. Then 8th fret D, D minor, 10th fret E, E minor, and then 11th fret F, F minor. And that's it for the natural notes. Then you do the same thing for the sharps or flat notes. So we've got this, F sharp, so F sharp minor, or G flat minor, same thing. Then 2nd fret G sharp, so G sharp minor, or A flat minor. 4th fret A sharp, so A sharp minor, or B flat minor. Then 7th fret C sharp, C sharp minor, or D flat minor. 9th fret D sharp, so D sharp minor or E flat minor. And then back to F sharp at the 12th fret or G flat, F sharp minor or G flat minor, right? So try to learn that first, right? Very important. And now we're going to practice those chords over the backing tracks. And like the power chords, we're going to practice them in 4 different keys. And first of all, I'm going to show you how this whole thing is going to sound like. So let's do that now. Okay, so let's start off with the chord progression in the key of D minor. As you've probably noticed, I'm using 2-note pinches here, and for the minor chords, I'm using a pinch on strings 3 and 2, so that's this shape. Alright, now let's open your PDF file called Basic Minor Chords Practice, Basic 3rd string root chords, 4 keys. And we're going to check out the first 8 bars. So starting off measure 1, we've got this. So that's the first 4 bars. So measure 1 first, we've got this. So that's a slide into a G minor chord, strings 3 and 2. Slide from 7 to 8. Same rhythm as before. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I play this G minor chord here, first fret. Then back to D minor. And then I slide into this A minor chord, 3rd fret. So the first 4 bars. And then we get this for the last 4 bars of this chord progression. So measure 5 to 8, measure 5, I slide again into this D minor chord, and then a series of major chords, and for the major chords I'm using also 2-note pinches, but this time this is root and major 3rd, so that's strings 4 and 3, and I'm using thumb and index. So measure 6 B flats, play this, 1, 2, 3, 4 at the 8th fret, and then I slide into a C chord, 10th fret, and then I grab strings 4, 3 and 2, that's the last bar of this chord progression, measure 8, and then strings 3 and 2 with index and middle. That's this. So let's review the whole thing. And as I've told you a bit earlier, when you play those chords on your own, it might not sound very minor, but then when you play them over the backing track, that's different. And speaking of which, we're going to practice this now over the D minor backing track at 100 beats per minute, and try to play along with me if you can. Okay, so like with the power chords, I've also written down those chord progressions in 3 other keys: F minor, A flat minor, and B minor. It's all tabbed out in the same PDF file, and the second chord progression is in the key of F minor, that's measure 9 to 16, and you get this. That's the first 4 bars, so that's a slide into this F minor chord here, 11 frets, same rhythm as before. And then you slide into this B flat minor chord, 4 frets. Then back to F minor. And then you slide into this C minor chord, 6 frets. So the first 4 bars. Okay, and then get this. So I play this, I'm back into F minor, measure 13. Then I play D flats, this time I pinch strings 4 and 3. 11th fret, and then I slide into E flat. Slide from 11 to 13. And for the last bar, I go to the first fret and I play this. That's strings 4, 3 and 2, and then strings 3 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Same rhythm for all the chords, and I jump from this chord to this one here, 1 octave lower, because I want to get ready for the next chord progression, which is in the key of A flat minor, so I'll be there. So that's why I play this for the last bar of this chord progression. So let's review the whole thing. And now let's play this over the backing track in F minor at 100 beats per minute. Okay, so let's keep going. The next chord progression is in the key of A flat minor, so that's measure 17 to 24, and we've got this. So that's measure 17 to 20. I play this, measure 17. I slide into a A flat minor chord at the 2nd fret. Then to a D flat minor chord at the 7th fret. Then back to A flat minor to E flat minor at the 9th fret. So the first 4 bars. And then we get this. So we slide again into A flat minor, then the major chords E, the 2nd fret, strings 4 and 3, to G flat, 4th fret, and then like the previous example, I grab strings 4, 3 and 2 and then strings 3 and 2. Okay, so the whole thing. So let's play this over the backing track now in the key of A flat minor at 100 beats per minute. Okay, last one in the key of B minor, sounds like this. So that's the first 4 bars, measure 25 to 28. Slide into a B minor chord, 5th fret. Then into a E minor chord at the 10th fret. Then back to B minor. Then F sharp minor at the 12th fret, so the first 4 bars. And then for the last 4 bars, I'm back into a B minor here. Then G, strings 4 and 3 again. Slide to A, 7th fret. And then this. Same thing as before. So practice that slowly, but should be pretty easy if you have mastered the other ones. minute. So let's play this once again over the backing track, now over the one in B minor at 100 beats per minute, and try to play along with me if you can. Okay, now let's put those 4 chord progressions together over the backing track basic minor chords practice, 4 keys combined, 100 beats per minute. And try to play along with me if you can. Okay, so I'm going to show you one more way to play minor chords, and this time we're going to use strings 4 and 3 to build what I call 3 frets up chords. That is, if you play strings 4 and 3, you've got D and F sharp, which are respectively the minor third and fifth of B minor. So if you play those notes 1 octave higher, here at the 12th fret, you can see where this 3 frets up name come from, because this is B major at the 9th fret, and 3 frets up on strings 4 and 3. This is B minor, minor third and fifth of B minor, but no roots. And this is of course a movable shape. For example, here at the 3rd fret, you've got F and A on strings 4 and 3, which is minor third and fifth of D minor, 3 frets up from D major, right? And when you play it like this, you can't really hear the minor sound, right? So you got to play an open string bass note to really hear the minor sound. Now you can hear a minor sound. Okay. Now, just as a quick side note, for those of you who want to understand how this technically works, you get to know that there's a major third interval between these 2 strings. And you can use that to build a minor chord, because as you know, a minor chord has root, minor third, and fifth, which obviously means you have a minor third interval between the root and minor third, but you also have a major third interval between the minor third and the fifth, right? So you can use this major third interval between strings 4 and 3 to get minor third and fifth of a minor chord, right? So again, this is just a quick explanation, and if this is still confusing, then you might want to check out a blog article that I've written called How to Find Straight Bar Chords on a Steel Guitar Instrument, right? And I explain in detail how to build chords, and hopefully it will make sense. Anyway, getting back to this shape, you've got, as I've said, minor third and fifth, right? But you could also play inversions, since you've got 3 Ds, this 4th string, but also this 6th string and this 1st string, which means all the notes on this 4th string are also there on this 6th string and also there on this 1st string. Which means there are 3 available shapes for this 3 frets up minor chord, and they are all written down on page 6 of your basic minor chords PDF file. So you obviously have this one, we just learned, minor third and fifth, strings 4 and 3, but you could also play this, strings 6 and 3, that's also minor third and fifth. And you could also play this, strings 3 and 1. This time that's fifth and minor third, okay? And in practice, you'll probably end up using a lot of these shapes, rather than the full shape. So let's try to memorize the chords first, which are written down on page 7. And again, by remembering that you get them 3 frets up from the major chord. So this is D minor, 3 frets up from D, E minor, 3 frets up from E major, F minor, 3 frets up from F, 6 frets, G minor, 3 frets up from this G major, A minor, 3 frets up from A, and then B minor, C minor, you also got C minor here, but you know, for the chords here, way down the neck, I think it's easier to visualize them 1 octave higher, right? Because you can already see the 3 frets up relationship between this minor and major chord. Okay, so let's try to practice once again over the backing tracks in 4 different keys. And like the previous examples, I'm going to show you first how this is going to sound like. So let's do that now. Okay, so as you can see, I've actually played a mix between the 3rd string root shapes and the 3 frets up shapes, because I really want to show you how this all makes sense now to use different shapes to get chords that are close to each other and not jump all over the neck, right? So let's open your PDF file called Basic Minor Chords Practice, Basic 3rd string root and 3 frets up chords, 4 keys. And again, you got the chord progressions in 4 different keys, and measure 1 to 8, you've got the chord progression in the key of D minor, and it sounds like this. Right, so this is measure 1 to 4. Measure 1, I play a 3rd string root shape. That's D minor, 8th fret, same rhythm as before. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then and now we use a 3 frets up shape for G minor. That's a pinch on strings 3 and 1. So I slide from 7 to 8. So that's G minor, again 3 frets up from G. Then back to D minor. And then for A minor, I'm using this shape, this 3 frets up shape at the 10th fret, strings 3 and 1. So the first 4 bars. And then the last 4 bars are exactly the same as the third string root example. So we saw that before. Alright, so the whole thing. Okay, and again, it might not sound very minor here, right? But as I've said before, when we play over the backing track, it all makes sense. So let's do that now. Let's play over the backing track in D minor at 100 beats per minute, and try to play along with me if you can. Okay, so after that, we do the same thing as before, that is playing in different keys, F minor, A flat minor, and B minor. So I'm gonna let you practice that on your own. Again, that's the same thing as the D minor chord progression, except that we play in different keys, so different chords, but same types of shapes and same rhythm. And it's all tabbed out in the PDF file. And then once you get that down, then try to play along with me for this last exercise, where we're going to play the 4 chord progressions in a row, like we did before over the backing track, 4 keys combined at 100 beats per minute. Let's do that now.
Okay, so what I'd like you to remember is that all the chord shapes are just different options, and there's not one that is better than the other. It just depends on the situation. Again, in this lesson, we've mostly learned minor chords that are suited to a band situation, but if you want to play solo, then you need to use open strings. And that's actually what we're going to learn in the next lesson, open minor chords in open D tuning. So feel free to join me for that. Once again, I'm Pat with learningwithpat.com. Please hit subscribe if you dig what I do, and I see you again very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.